Hi, and welcome to another episode of Walk Through Voices. Recently, I've been doing a lot of study on the life of Moses. The next course in the Walk Through the Bible Biblical Character Series, the working title is Rescue, Leading Yourself and Others to Freedom. And it ought to be available early next year. But I've just been spending so much time in Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy and learning more about Moses. I thought I knew him, but there's just been some gems that I've discovered in there. One of those I want to just briefly talk with you about today. You know, Moses was called by God up to Mount Sinai, and God there revealed the 10 Commandments. He actually shared a lot more than that. That's just a summary of the law. And then Moses shares those with the people. But Moses is up there for so long then receiving more instruction with God that there's a rebellion, and the people go, we don't even know where Moses is. And even Aaron was drawn into this. And they took gold probably that they had plundered from the Egyptians. And as hard as it was to get Israel out of Egypt, it was way harder to get Egypt out of the Israelites. And they made this idol, and they began to worship this golden calf. And when Moses sees this, he took the original stone tablets of the 10 Commandments, and it says he threw them on the ground. They shattered. And he took the golden calf, and not only did they burn it, but he pureed it into powder, and the people even had to drink it. This is just a terrible, bitter time in the life of this new nation that's emerging, that's come out of Egypt. And so God tells Moses, okay, Moses, I want you to replace those commandments. I've not given up on these people yet. Make another copy of the 10 Commandments. But there's something in here that is just so cool. Wait till we get to it. It's in Exodus chapter 34, verse 4. It says, so Moses chiseled out 2 stone tablets like the first ones, and went up to Mount Sinai early in the morning, as the Lord had commanded him. And he carried the 2 stone tablets in his hands. Then the Lord came down in the cloud and stood there with him and proclaimed his name, the Lord. I know that I've known for years that on Mount Sinai, God gave Moses the 10 Commandments, the rest of the law. Certainly that's part of it. What I wasn't as aware of is that's not the only thing that God revealed there on Mount Sinai. And this is the insight that I want you to really think about with me, because it's a fascinating, but it's also a mind-changing, perspective-altering orientation to all of this. The scripture goes on and it says, and he, that's God, passed in front of Moses proclaiming, the Lord, the compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness, maintaining love to thousands, and forgiving wickedness, rebellion, and sin. Yet he does not leave the guilty unpunished. He punishes the children and their children for the sin of the parents to the 3rd and 4th generation. I knew on Mount Sinai that God revealed the law, his commandments. But I want you to picture this is almost like 2 columns, because God not only reveals his commandments, he also revealed his character. He not only revealed what he expects, but he spent a lot of time talking about who he is. The commandments give us a picture into God's holiness, but there's other attributes that he reveals, even though there's balance, even though he talks about God does eventually judge, but it also talks about his love, and it expresses that in some really concrete terms. And so you look at these 2 columns, and the bottom of each of these columns to me says, now these are rules to follow. We don't escape from those things, but it's coupled with God revealing these attributes, so it's really a relationship to enjoy. And I grew up, I think my right eye was closed, and all I saw was the left side of that chart. And I lived my Christian experience. It was actually pretty dry. There wasn't much joy there, because I was so focused on keeping the commandments. I was under the bondage that comes, that the law always brings. and I couldn't keep those commandments. So there was frustration there, and my view of God was distorted, that he was negative, that he was really out to get me. It's pretty immature, but it's not all that uncommon. And in this passage, this is the passage about God giving the law. This is it. But in this passage, look what God says about himself. I'm compassionate and gracious. I'm slow to anger. I'm abounding in love and faithfulness, maintaining love to thousands, forgiving wickedness, rebellion, and sin. Now, he does not leave the guilty unpunished. There's balance there. But look at how many of these things are positive, attractive attributes about God. And this is in the passage about God's law. So how about you? Maybe like me, you tend to close your right eye to the column about all God's revealed about his character, and you just focus on his commands. Open the other eye and see the balance that's in this passage. And I will promise you, on the truth of Scripture, but also based on my experience, this will revolutionize your prayer life, because you want to spend time with a God like this. It will change the way that you view him, your willingness to share him with other people. It's not the distorted, negative view of God that our culture says. There's a beautiful, attractive, winsome God. So check out that passage. It's in Exodus 34, the beginning of the passage, and let's look at even that event with both eyes wide open. We'll see you again soon on another episode of Walk Through the Bible Voices. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.